Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, o see them yopo.
Mema wakwaba e de ba PENDREAM TV so make sure say obe subscribe to channel no click bell so say the news to our sabit me aka ntem no watie afa so make sure say obe like na wa comment no share ama afoforo so nsaka na comment section ho so no opese wo kire wa adwen obetimi e de wa adwen kire ato honom na amanfo so anya bia kenkan na onim say PENDREAM TV de eye nsem a ekoso Ghana yam politics mu ne de ba na yasaka ya ne de abranti na so me video I saka pese no che na ye de ba nti me mo modern astro so obehwe video we amana si awie na wa kire wa adwen e comment section na se yenko video.
What is the cardinal reason why you come into public office? Are you in public office to put the country first, to be nationalistic, to be patriotic, to represent the hopes and aspirations of those who elected you, who sent you to parliament? I think that 2nd December 1957, column 222, and this is Mr. Jato Khalil speaking, the Honorable MP from the UP stock for Wala North. And at the time, Kwame Nkrumah had introduced the Emergency Powers Bill, which they were opposing. This is what Mr. Jato Khalil said.
Was that a PDA?
No, this was another one, the Emergency Powers Bill.
Which year?
1957.
November.
Jato Khalil said, and I quote with your permission, I met a government backbencher and had a talk with him about this bill. And when I asked him his reason for supporting it, we think of the party before the people. We put the cart before the horse. I know that there are some government supporters who know in their hearts that this law is not good. I will not press them to vote against it. I will only ask them to abstain. That is the simplest way to go about it, unquote. 67 years ago.
Very profound.
Very, very profound. That party. Who are those who form the party? Isn't it the people? So let's put the people's interest first. See his conversation with that backbencher. He is only supporting because his party has brought it. His government has brought it. And it is the reason, 67 years down the lane, we are still on this extreme, reckless partisanship path that a few months ago, you all passed an e-levy, swear that it is a panacea. I remember the joke even emerged in town that e-levy is now like Akubam. It cures everything. I remember the Honorable Atufosin, then ranking member of the Finance Committee, saying that the way the majority MPs have described the e-levy, he's even beginning to believe that it can cure my baldness. That when the e-levy comes, I'll suddenly grow hair. And we all had a good laugh. They said it will create millions of jobs. It will prevent us from going to the IMF. It will be such a game changer. E-levy has been enforced. Where are the jobs? Have we gone to the IMF or not? So why didn't they listen to us? We even did an actuarial analysis, consulted experts. They told us, including the Chamber of Telecoms, that all those projections were fanciful. It will not be met. They are engaged in multiple and quadruple analysis. It will not meet the target. Here we are. Here we are. They didn't listen to anybody. Now, if Jato Khalil was listened to in 1957, perhaps our democracy would be better off. And to argue that things have gotten worse, at least under military ruler Rawlings. President Rawlings could say, look, the opposition appear to be making a lot of sense on this VAT matter. They have the people behind them. I have seen the numbers from the Kumipreku demonstration, which Nana Akufo-Addo, ironically, led. So let's listen to them. Let me suspend. So in his message to Parliament, in 1997, he suspended VAT in his State of the Nation address. It was well received. So what has happened? That you now have a situation where no matter what you say, We even went to court. And I hope the judicial is also watching and reflecting. J.H. Mensah will go to court and matters will be dealt with expeditiously under previous chief justices. Because they come in as the last arbiter. When the extreme partisanship continues to really, harm this country, you expect the judiciary to have the final say. What is happening to my e-levy case? More than a year now.
Which case?
Myself, the Honorable Mahama Yarika, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, we went to the Supreme Court.
Seeking for what?
That the e-levy should be declared a nullity.
Why?
Because they didn't have the numbers. Because they themselves had ruled in the Abdullah case that we didn't have the numbers to purport to have rejected the budget. Now, an inferior number. If 137 did not have the numbers, because they say we should be 138, 136 cannot purport to have passed.
So you went to the Supreme Court?
We went to the Supreme Court.
And what happened?
After the first hearing on the injunction, which we lost, they said that they hereby order the finance minister and the GRA to keep good records so that in the event that we win the case, then they can refund the monies. Can you believe that? Refund the taxes back when it will have been expended. But that's what they say. So that was really the crux of the judgment. And then after that, we can't even get a date for hearing.
Till today?
Till today. More than a year.
The Supreme Court of Ghana?
The Supreme Court of Ghana, more than a year. Meanwhile, see,
but in the Abdullah case, yes,
it was dispatched
in weeks.
Expeditiously.
In weeks.
In weeks. In weeks. Why do we do this? Say all what you say about how a military man had transitioned and how probably we were still now, with baby steps, learning how to walk in the return to the fourth Republican dispensation. But things were better. You saw a judiciary that was alive and up and doing. And so that's why we have all these landmark cases. J.H. Mensah on the vetting of ministers, on even whether 31st December and June 4 should be commemorated. Landmark cases. Ghana Broadcasting, how they should balance their panel and make sure the opposition is also heard. They went to court. It was handled expeditiously under a military ruler who had just transitioned. And yet now, we have a so-called doyen of human rights. The human rights czar, as he has been portrayed. And see what is happening. Cases will not be heard. E-levy is only one of not less than 20 cases that are before the courts. No expedited action. So now the extreme partisanship is also finding itself in so many arenas. So it is time for soul searching as a country. It's time for soul searching. And when the Clerk of Parliament, after reviewing the records, told us at our workshop last week that 702 referrals, no action. Are we really sure we are earning our keep? Do we deserve to be paid every month? Is that why we were sent to the house? To sabotage, to engage in stonewalling. Look, National Cathedral probe. We filed a motion more than a year ago. The motion was duly admitted as competent by the Right Honourable Speaker. The motion has been debated on the floor. Nobody filed a counter motion. Nobody could present counter facts. Nobody opposed the motion. We voted upon the motion. It was left with Speaker ruled. Members, both leadership of both sides, bring your membership to the committee for the probe to commence. We sent our names, 4 names, up to now. The MPP majority side is refusing to send the names. Blatantly refusing to send the names. And we have been watching for more than 6 months now. Just watching them. And that's why I asked the Speaker. So why should MPs be allowed to hold the whole House to ransom? A few MPs. Look at what is happening with the COVID-19 probe. Again, a motion filed, assessed to be competent, debated by the House. Speaker rules. joint committees of health and finance, led by the health committee, inquire into what has been probably the biggest expenditure in the history of our country. Because I don't remember when in our lifetime we saw a pandemic which required a government response. There's been so much money, and already there's a damning Auditor General's report. And the Auditor General has said that that was not even all. They didn't look at certain category of funds. So we have to now delve into all of those residual matters and more. Then people are stonewalling. So the extreme partisanship. And let me read Jato Kaleo again, Doc. Let me read him again. He said,
Before you read him, we've heard you.
Yeah, no.
What we are talking about is that it's a historical problem.
Yes.
And you have given us that this thing started. The majority party has always wanted to play with the government.
yes, and to have their way.
And because of that, many Ghanaians have expressed frustration with Parliament. That's the issue. So the issue is not about the majority party aligning to. Some people have said that it's because the government has to appoint ministers from Parliament, and because of that, it makes the majority want to align.
Whether big majority or small majority, if at the end of the day, extreme partisanship makes you always marshal all your 138, there's nothing we can do.
But every government party,
if you don't want to,
listen,
as Jato Kaleo said, use independent judgment.
You say it's
extreme, nationalistic.
Yeah, you say it's extreme
partisanship.
Somebody would not agree.
Look,
so another person will say, "Well, this is what we want."
If your argument is anything to go by, then what we need is that let's have a party in Parliament or a caucus in Parliament that has majority, that has more seats than the ruling party. That is when you can really indict.
Yeah.
You know,
just a few.
I'm not done. So
I mean, this brought. Oh, you are not done.
I'm not done. So if I can, yeah. So I was going to go back to Jato Kaleo, and I think that the profoundness of this statement should not be lost on us. He says, I met a government backbencher and had a talk with him about this bill. And when I asked him his reason for supporting it, he said that his only reason was that he was a government backbencher and he must support it. That is not why we are voted into this house. We have to use our independent judgment. When we know that a law is inimical to the interests of the people we represent, and this one strikes at the roots of fundamental liberty, it is better for us to forget our party and think of the welfare of the people first. Because after all, it is the people who make up the party. If we think of the party before the people, we put the cart before the horse. I know that there are many government supporters who know in their hearts that this law is not good. I will not press them to vote against it. I will only ask them to abstain. That is the simplest way to go about it, unquote. But having said that, I think that I will be imbalanced in this discussion if I do not speak to what you may call small messes. Small messes. I don't think it is fair for the entire record of the caucus to be painted in that manner. We've had some good successes. So first of all, don't forget that it took an epic battle to secure the speakership. It's never happened in our country's history. I don't think that we should be denied that credit.
Which one?
The kind of commitment, the kind of resilience, effort that went into securing the speakership, the contest between Speaker Bagbin and Speaker Okwe. If we were not committed, if we didn't show a certain valor, certain courage, we would not have set this record, which is never happened. This is the first time in the history of our country that you've had a speaker who is not from the president's party. It's never happened. And I think that we should not be denied that credit. Then there have been a number of major victories. You remember when we protested about how the National Cathedral was being funded secretly on the blind side of Parliament, and that it doesn't feature in the budgets. The president had told the nation that this is a private initiative. It will be done by personal contributions and contributions from the church. Then I began intercepting documents to the effect that we have been lied to and that there's massive funding going on. We now know that $58 million at today's exchange, that is $724 million. Yesterday I was reflecting on the amount and I said that, look, this $724 million, it can build 289 of the affordable houses that we built for the VRA victims, the spillage victims. 289. We can house 86,700 people, meaning that the $58 million is even more to solve 2 times the number of displaced people. It's 40,000 people displaced. These 289 homes can take about 86,700 people. So you can solve the problem for the 40,000 displaced people and have another 46,700 rooms available for people to even come and rent or even to donate to the homeless, as other countries are doing, even in Africa. So $58 million is no chicken feed. It's a lot of money. You know, so you have the finance minister, the president in cahoots on the blind side of Parliament. Then we started intercepting documents. It compelled them to now do the right thing, to now put 10 million cedis for the first time in the budget. We rose against it. Unfortunately, we succeeded. If the National Cathedral project, that very scandal-infested enterprise, the world's most expensive pit, is suspended today, 2 years on, it's on suspension, it's because of what we achieved collectively. And for this one, I must commend our colleagues on the other side who gave up the fight. They didn't push it to a last vote, which we could have lost if they had mobilized their 138. I must commend them. So they saw reason. And we said, no, look, we can't continue with this. A project that $58 million, David Ajayi is keeping $130 million, Carrie Summers has $61 million, it was $6 million at the time. Then you have $2.6 million in the hands of Reverend Kusi Boateng Kwabena Edu-Jemfi. I don't know who exactly he is. You know, the monies were not going into the project. So at least there have been some little messes. Then I have here, you remember some time ago we had this discussion about the contingency vote and the contingency fund. How the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta had subverted Article 177 of the Constitution and cleverly created a contingency vote where he puts in billions, and that's what he was using to fund the cathedral project on our blind side. I have here the report of the Finance Committee of Parliament on the 2024 budget. We were
2024 budget.
2024 budget, yes. We were able to, if you look at page 5, paragraph 3.5, reallocation. The committee found the need to do the following reallocations from the other government obligations allocation. So 1, La General Hospital to Ministry of Health. 2, contingency vote to contingency fund. So we've stopped that practice. We said, let's go back to contingency fund, because the contingency fund under Article 177, you can account. And you, not that you can, you must account on its usage to the Finance Committee and to Parliament.
So what? It's been...
Yes, so it's been stopped.
The funding there has been stopped?
Yes, and reallocated to contingency fund. Yes, this was the report that... And I must commend, and Kweku Kwatin, the chairman of the Finance Committee, has been doing some great job. You know that the tax waivers that this government has brought, he's been working with, you must quickly go and salvage the situation, go and help them, go and solve that emergency. That's why they created the contingency fund under Article 177. He switches fund to vote, where he doesn't have to come to Finance Committee, he doesn't have to come to Parliament, and that has been going on. At least, moving forward for this year, we have stopped it. So,
How did you stop it?
Yes, so the House passed a resolution. So we reallocated.